Good morning. My name is Jack Dorsey, and we are joining you live from Twitter headquarters in San Francisco. And we are here with some of the cast and the director of The Circle. We're going to have a discussion around technology, around data, privacy, and also diversity in technology as well.
And it's going to be fun.
And it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
I'm live tweeting it if you want to go to my Twitter. If you're going to live tweet this. Hang on, Tom just said it's going to be fun. Send. Okay.
So join me in welcoming James, Emma, Tom, and Patton.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love playing May. She is so complex. Everything that you said about being incredibly idealistic, I feel like one of May's big problems is that she really believes in the perfect solution to these problems. She really believes that there is kind of one answer, that if we all pull together, you know, we can get there. And she doesn't realize it, but her approach is quite extreme in the end and quite sort of totalitarian almost. She kind of becomes her own charming little dictator, I think, without realizing that she's headed there. And you know, but with such good intentions, and I think that's what you and I were so drawn to all the time, was that she had these incredibly good, is coming from a good place, but kind of ultimately a very warped vision and way of getting there.
She definitely comes from a generation who aspire to be disruptors.
Yes.
Right, and I think we generally see that as a good thing. Disruption can disrupt the status quo, but we've also clearly seen in the past year how people can come in from a different industry and affect the world negatively in politics, whatever it is, and disrupt things, and it doesn't always work out the way we think it is. So that's certainly the case for May, but she does have good intentions. She's very idealistic.
Yeah.
And she's just looking for her place to make her mark.
I remember for you and I, like, you know, we obviously made the movie before the election. And
Oh yeah, remember that.
Yeah, remember that. Yeah. But that watching the election, we were like, wow, it feels like everything that we're touching on in this movie is playing out in front of our eyes, you know, just months after we you know, called cut and wrapped on that movie. And that was really remarkable for me. I felt like, you know, life, art, reality, all kind of coming together, and I think
there's stuff that we predicted that I really wish we hadn't predicted accurately.
Yeah.
I wish we'd gotten way more stuff wrong.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
You know, I made this old movie when you were very young. You might have seen it when your parents were.
When I was a fetus.
Well, you might have, like, Mom and Dad are going out. We've rented You've Got Mail, so you can watch it again.
Oh, stop it! I love that
I don't know how old you are.
It's a talk.
The thing we had then was that even right then, we had this thing of which you had to send an email to somebody, but inside that email between myself and Meg Ryan was this great promise of romance and happiness and love at last and a connection that you couldn't get any other way. But it was old technology. You had to send an email, and it was also based on anonymity. What you do, Twitter, now you can communicate with the entire world with that same brand of promise and potentially that same brand of anonymity, although if you're really cool, you actually will say who you are, so you're not hiding behind anything. But when you do that, you might be opening yourself up to all sorts of other contexts that you're not asking for. So it's odd. The technological triumph that we've all been able to experience has us in that same exact place, except it happens much, much quicker. And it can go around the world. I know, even as we are joking now, thousands of people are watching us on this live feed. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say there's 6,250 people watching us right now. You can either add zeros onto that or not. And that is an absolute magnificent reality, no matter what you want to sell. A movie like The Circle that we're all very proud of, but we could be selling something, you know, ridiculously malevolent if we wanted to, and we'd be using the same exact technology. So it comes down to some degree of personal responsibility.
That was something I wanted to speak to as well, which was when you mentioned this kind of like amped up version of herself that May becomes when she takes the decision to become transparent. Mm-hmm. When to be transparent in our movie means that May agrees to be watched all the time throughout her, you know, every single second of her daily life. And I remember James directing me and saying, you know, like more, and playing the version of May that was being watched all the time was exponentially more exhausting than playing the version of May who was just kind of interacting in a way that when she wasn't being watched. And it's interesting because I recently just obviously did this press tour for Beauty and the Beast, and I guess it's kind of like, it's on my mind, but I did Jimmy Kimmel, where he makes you read the mean tweets. And it made me realize as I was doing it, I was like, wow, you know, it's being asked of me and it's being asked of my my friends, everyone around me, to be so much more resilient than I think we've ever had to be, in the sense that usually if someone's saying something unkind about you, they're saying it behind your back, conveniently, quietly in a whisper in another room. But the world that we live in now, with the level of transparency that we're seeing, you know, kids are getting, you get everything, every unkind word, every criticism, every
Jack,
whatever else.
What does it do to you to hear us referencing mean tweets?
Well, I mean, this is sort of a meta question, but I mean, May in the beginning of the story is relatively anonymous, and then midway through she gains some level of celebrity. I mean, I imagine the three of you like have a much thicker skin about such things than say I do. Like, what do you think it would be like for the average person to suddenly just to go out and get a turkey sandwich?
It would be like being on a press junket for Beauty and the Beast for the rest of your life.
But that's what's so crazy, is I feel like it's becoming so much more relatable, because it's not like fame isn't something that just celebrities are experiencing anymore. To a certain degree, everyone who uses social media or has a social media platform or whatever else is broadcasting themselves, marketing themselves, sharing intimate details of their lives, and you know, they're receiving comment, they're receiving likes, dislikes, like, you know, they're experiencing exactly what I'm experiencing, of course to lesser and greater degrees, but like, you know, it's the way that the world is moving. Like, my experiences, I don't feel like are unique so much anymore, in a really interesting way.
Yeah, fame isn't really being achieved anymore, it's being inflicted on people. I mean, really, there's people that fame is just being inflicted on because of social media.
You can sort of decide to be famous now.
Yeah, you can just go, I'm going to be famous tomorrow. Yeah, and it's very, very easy.
And
I have to ask you really quickly one thing.
Hit me.
Has anyone ever got back to you about whether or not they've found a missing glove?
You know?
This is how Tom uses his social media. If you post gloves and shoes and odd socks.
Only singles.
Have they been reunited? This is what I need to know.
My deep-seated fantasy is that yes, someone has said, "That's my glove," and they go right back to the corner of wherever it was taken, and they pick it up.
Why did you think to start doing that?
Well, because whenever I would see, it started with like gloves, but also like little baby shoes and booties, and I said, "That's a story. That's a story of, you know, someone got home to their apartment and said, oh, I lost my glove. Can I afford another glove? That was a great, you know." Or the little baby says, "Why is the baby crying? Oh my God, her foot's freezing because her booty fell off
I'm going to do the
in the park."
breakfast show host thing and say that is all we have time for, folks. And thank you so much for tuning in and for listening. And our movie opens this Friday, if you'd like to go and see it.
世界一ホットな SNS 企業サークルはあなたのいいねもログインもパスワードも一括管理。
Do you like to share?
情報をシェアしより良い未来を目指します。
You got the job at the Circle.
そしてさらなる新プロジェクト。
They will be the first circler to share every single second of her work.
サークルの新サービスを使い
Good morning, everyone. Hi.
生活のすべてをシェアします。
May you're a valued part of the circle. We can finally realize our potential.
Do you feel ready? Soul Search can find Fiona Highbridge in under 20 minutes.
You're such an enigma.
You're most scared of?
Unfulfilled potential.
False modesty won't work here. You should be psyched.
I know you meant well, but they started calling me a deer killer. Does this really seem okay to you?
Hey, everybody. The perfect use of soul search. Let's find your friend.
They can use it however they see fit. Everyone's data in the circle is being studied.
Knowing is good, but knowing everything is better.
It was a bad tool, a bad system. It can be fixed.
Things at the circle, they need to change.
Is there anything you want to tell us?
The Circle